Following on from the previous video, a position vector is when you start at the origin. So now we're going to work in 3D. So let's say you've got a vector here, and it's floating in the middle of nowhere. It's floating in the middle of nowhere. So this would be your initial point. This would be the actual vector itself. So what that means is, well, you are floating in the middle of nowhere. So it's one across. So it's one across. 2 across in the y direction, and then 1 straight up. So you are in fact starting right here. You are floating in the middle of nowhere, and then this is your vector here. Well, your vector is 3 across in the x direction. So it's 3 across, 1, 2, 3 across in the x direction, and then 3 across in the y direction. So it's 1, 2, 3, and then it's 4 straight up. 1, 2, 3, 4. So your vector starts here. So your vector starts here and moves straight across here. So this arrow here, this arrow here, this arrow here, so this arrow here represents your actual vector, and it's floating in the middle of nowhere. It's floating in the middle of nowhere. It's floating in the middle of nowhere. So with position vectors, when you move it so that it starts at the origin. So in your mind, move it so that it starts at the origin. Then you have yourself a position vector. So if you go back and have a look at this in the previous video. In the previous video we had this. Our vector was 3 across, 2 up. So this was our vector here. So when you move it to the so to obtain the position vector, we would move the we would move it so that it starts at the origin. So it's here, and then it moves to here. But if you look at this, terminal point, the terminal point will be 3, 2, just like our vector here. It would be 3 and then 2. So if you have a vector, if you have any vector, v1, v2, if you have any vector, if you move it so that the initial point starts at the origin, then if you move it, so hang on, bear with me. So if you move it, so this now is so if you have a vector, let's say this vector here is v1, so that's v1 here, and then v2. So this is your vector here. If you move this vector so that it starts at the origin, then this point here will simply be position v, v2. So the vector here, actually you can just move it into here. So what I'm trying to illustrate here is this. What I'm trying to illustrate is that if you have a vector here, if you have a vector v1, v2, and v3, so if you have a vector v1, v2, and v3, if you move it so that it starts at the origin, then the terminal point will become this. Will simply become whatever's here. You put into here, put into here, put into here. I will explain why it's important in the next video. Why position vectors are important in the next video. Okay.